Hello, everyone. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us. Let's be seated when you get a chance, and if you can, thank you so much again for joining us. It's beautiful outside, right? Yes. Is everyone from California? Do we have any folks that are from out of state coming to visit us in Napa? Okay, well, we've been here maybe. It's beautiful. And again, thank you so much for coming. My name is Devon Woods, and I am part of the Side Partner Expansion team. I'm actually under the director here, Aisha Chapetta. She is the director of Partner Expansion. And I started here in March of this year. And upon starting here, we quickly started B-Side. And B-Side is Black Excellence at Side, which is an ERG. And if you're not familiar with an ERG, it's an employee resource group. Typically, anyone who has similar lifestyles, characteristics, backgrounds are mostly prompted to be inside of an ERG. And this is a place for you to be able to have resources, help with recruiting and retaining, and futures within companies. Tons of Fortune 500 companies right now are also implementing ERGs within the company, which are normally employee run. So we do have two amazing guests who are also partners with Side. They have brought their business to Side. We do help also recruit, but they do some recruiting on their own. And they're gonna talk a bit about how to recruit. Forgive me, you guys. They're going to talk a bit about recruiting, and they're also going to talk about the community and home ownership for Black and Brown. I'm going to introduce here Javier, who is their business manager. He works with them closely, and he'll be able to give you a little bit of their background. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be here. As she mentioned, I'm one of the business managers, and I get the pleasure and honor to work with Roy and Serena and help them with business growth. So I'm going to give you their bio and a little bit of their background. Serena Loudon, as a broker and owner of All City Homes, Serena offers more than 18 years of real estate experience in traditional sales, REO, short sales, commercial, property management, and is a native Californian. Serena has the ability and understands how to expertly navigate the industry with integrity and professionalism. Serena's ultimate goal is to redefine, improve, and empower the community by respecting and appreciating what makes people different. In terms of age, gender, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, education, and national origin, all through homeownership and social responsibility. Serena is committed to using her platform with All City Homes as a community advocate. When Serena takes on a client, she knows that she's ultimately helping them become productive members of a community where they can thrive and live their best life. And Roy Machado. Roy is the founder and owner of All City Homes, a boutique real estate brokerage with a mission of empowering people through homeownership. For over a decade, Roy has been a top producing agent since 2007. Last year in 2021, Roy and All City helped 207 families and doing over 84 million in sales volume. Roy is concerned about delivering an exceptional home buying and selling experience and improving the relationship between the realtor and the community they serve through social responsibility is in the heart of Roy's success. Prior to his career in real estate, Roy has a background in ethnic studies and music, attending CSU Sacramento. In his early 20s, Roy was balancing the roles of being an entrepreneur and activist, owning a record store, concert events marketing company, and a community organizer in launching programming in arts and music education for the youth. And that experience as a community advocate has transcended over to his passion, serving as a realtor through social justice lens, creating generational wealth and legacy for everyone. And I'll kick it over to Devon, who is going to get started with the questions.
Thank you, Javier. That was wonderful. All right. Roy, Serena, I've had the pleasure of being able to speak with the two of you, and it's always wonderful. Is that on?
1, 2, yes.
Excellent. So while I have you here, you've told me so much about each and every one of you. We're going to share a little bit about you. So just to begin, tell us a little bit about yourself and how All City came together.
So I started in in real estate in 2007. And so prior to that, like as Javier mentioned, I owned a record store. I did a lot of community work, such as working with nonprofit organizations in early 2000s. 2007 hit, and the foreclosure market, of course, hit, and a lot of my friends and family started losing their houses. And so I felt that that was the best time, at least in my opinion, to really become a real estate agent, because that's when people really needed a realtor. And so in 2007, all we knew was bank foreclosures. And at that time, it was a bittersweet experience for a lot of sellers and homeowners, because they were literally getting kicked out of their homes, or there was tenants, we had to deal with cash for keys, so we had to deal with this crisis. And then for the home buyers, it was an opportunity for them to get into home ownership, which was a good thing, but then they were dealing with like offers, 30 offers, 40 offers on a property. Right. So the human experience of real estate in 2007 wasn't the greatest, but it was my introduction in real estate. And so, I felt like the human component of real estate was like out the window, because the sellers were banks, not actual homeowners. Right. And I felt there was a huge disconnect there. And for real estate brokerages that we were a part of, the analogy was like holding a lion by its tail, right? An industry trying to figure out how to dispose of or how to sell real estate, these banks. And so throughout the years, I just been, working and trying to figure out that there was still something missing in real estate, that in my experience, because one, I saw a huge class or a huge group of people like in pain, suffering, and primarily in our communities in Black and Brown. And then I just applied that, kind of like that passion in my real estate experience, and we started All City Homes in 2017. And our whole thing is like, how can we repair or remedy what's happened in 2007 or so, the foreclosure market, when a lot of people lost a good amount of wealth in the Black and Brown community. So in order for us to promote home ownership to the Black and Brown, we had to create a space, create a brokerage where we hired Black and Brown real estate agents and brokers. So that's where we're at.
Wonderful. And Serena, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Serena Loudon, and I am a broker associate and owner of All City Homes. I actually started real estate in a rural county called Calaveras County. It wasn't easy for me in that county. I was from my knowing, the only Black realtor in the entire county. I worked very hard. I overcame a lot of obstacles. There were times when I, was a little just, I guess I would say I worked very, very hard in those counties. And I stayed up there for about 4 years is when I started, and then I came down into the Sacramento County. And actually, when I was in Calaveras County, I actually did very well. I started there. I started marketing the Bay Area. Most of my marketing, I didn't have my pictures on any of my marketing because I didn't know what type of people I was going to be working with. And for me, I just wanted to work with everyone. So I kept my picture off a lot of my marketing, spoke to a lot of clients. A lot of my clients came from the Bay Area. Some of my clients were in that area. Eventually, once I made a footprint in Calaveras County, I started putting my pictures on all of my marketing. From there, I moved to Sacramento County and joined another company. And when I moved to Sacramento County, I came there, and before the market crashed, I couldn't believe that a lot of the agents, all they were doing was putting a sign up and selling homes. When I was working hard, I worked hard in Calaveras County to,
make a name for yourself.
Absolutely. And so when I came to Sacramento County, the market crashed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And here I am starting again all over, working hard again. I'm watching a lot of different agents getting different accounts, and I'm wondering, like, why aren't we getting any accounts? Why don't I see minorities getting these REO accounts. So I just told myself, you know what, I don't want it all, I just need a little piece. And I remember just praying one day and just like tying up my shoes. I'm like, I'm going hard. And so at that time, I started networking, traveling, taking every penny I had to travel to different states, joining, at the time, foreclosure groups, organizations, NRBA, US REO Partners, and from my networking and not being afraid to talk to people that don't look like me, I just went in and just started landing accounts. And I did very well. I was averaging about 250 to 300 deals a year.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was
I
a
just
lot
want
of
to
work.
make sure everyone
But,
understands
I've
that.
always worked hard. I mean, that's my thing. And so when I see agents with difficulties, it's kind of like, gosh, you could do it. I did it. I've been through a lot. Even today with me I do a lot of rural property still. So I'm in Sacramento, but a lot of my business is up in the hills, up in Amador. Let's see, what else is up there? Jackson, Forest Hill. And I still work hard. I go up there, they'll call me, they'll ask me to list their homes. When I go to the listing appointment, I pull up, I gotta pray.
Before.
Yeah, I gotta
You
pray when
know,
I go
I
up there.
understand.
Because remember, I'm up in the hills, you don't know what you're dealing with. And I always go in there, I do great on my marketing, I land the listing. And I'm just gonna say a little bit more is that, this subject is a little difficult to talk about, but it's true. Even today when I go to these rural areas, I have to walk away. I walk away from my listing appointment super excited. I call Roy, I did it. I got the listing appointment. And then when I leave, within a week, I have agents up in these hills making comments about me continuously. Like, she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know country property, blah, blah, blah. And I'm continuously defending myself to my clients. And mind you, most of my clients are white. And they ask me things like, are you gonna be okay? Are you all right? I'm fine. I've been through this for the past 18 years. And I have to explain to them and defend myself, et cetera, et cetera. So my story is more of telling you what my experiences are. We are all colleagues. We shouldn't be, saying negative things about each other. It still happens. It still exists. And we'll talk more about that during this session. That's my story.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful story because you are experienced in this industry. You've been doing this for 18 years. And of course, our resumes speak highly of us. However, we still deserve the respect without having to necessarily display our resume when we are on listing appointments to everyone. With that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about how you all are going out into the communities and educating and really fostering home ownership for the Black and brown community.
Well, our mission at the end of the day is address housing insecurity, right? And one of the things for us to address that, if we're not going to be on the forefront of, say, affordable housing, we need to create pathways of homeownership for everybody. And for us, we just started hosting first-time homebuyer workshops every month. And typical homebuyer workshops and experiences I've had in the past for other brokerages is that they have a home inspector, a pest inspector, title company, 5 agents, and some pizza, and they'll do one class, and nobody shows up, and then they stop. And it's like, oh, it doesn't work. But the thing is, not one of those people really marketed to the community that they were supposed to serve. They just marketed to each other, right? And so for us, it was different. Our thing is like, okay, if we're gonna promote homeownership, we need to consistently promote ourselves as a resource. We didn't care if you used us as agents or not. The
Right.
whole idea is how can we improve the integrity of our industry by making sure we're a resource for homeownership, and then create pathways. So if you create those ways, you're just inviting opportunity. And then other things too, as far as promoting in the Black and brown community, they know Serena, they know me and our work within our experience. Our whole thing is like our sphere of influence is huge. And so that was pretty much what we tapped in on, but also just the other thing too, when we promoted home ownership, the marketing we use on our Instagram or Facebook are folks of color. Because I think it's important to show a narrative of and visualization of home ownership in a different way.
Right.
And so those are the things we do, and making sure we sponsor community events, locally within our neighborhoods. We already do it as individual agents, but as a brand and as a company together, I think it appears more powerful because we're an entire unit, right? And when you're sponsoring an event, it could be your time and volunteering, or it could be dollars, whatever the case may be. The most important thing is your brand and your agents and yourselves are present within those communities, and just making an attempt or a choice to make sure you're prospecting.
So I do have a question for you. So we know that you are doing your classes monthly, and we also know that your sphere of influence is grand. What, if any, takeaway that the audience can take with them today, what would you recommend to them that they do so that they can broaden their sphere of influence on social media, and how else they might be able to dig in a bigger footprint with the Black and brown community?
I think the biggest thing you can take away is accountability, right? Before we can start marketing and trying or recruiting talent in the Black and brown communities, the idea of accountability and really understanding the history of real estate and what role and what it played, what it did to create housing segregation, right? And once we really understand as professionals the history of what this industry has done, then we can then make personal choices to see how can we resolve that ourselves, right? And that, the racism or the discrimination, what's happened over the years, we have to account for that. We have to deal with it because we're dealing with it now. And if we're not, it's just gonna continue to grow. So as real estate agents, we just have to make a personal choice that we have to understand our history, and we have a choice on how we can use our businesses to remedy some of the things that are happening within our communities. I tell Serena this, it's like when I look at real estate, I don't even see houses half the time. I see code like the Matrix because everything is real estate. If you're in this business, everything, how it moves, is all real estate related. Because when you're thinking about real estate, it's not just a management or wealth, managing wealth or creating wealth and legacy. It's also a transfer of power, if you really understand how it works. And so the biggest takeaway is accountability and making sure we understand why we're doing it. And then at that point on, all of these opportunities will start to come about.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Did you have any questions that you wanted to go over before I invite we have our executive sponsor for the B-Side ERG here in the building today, and we're gonna invite her to come up soon. Before we do that, I just wanna make sure that we've gotten out everything that we intended, and we'll be wrapping up here soon.
Yeah, I just really want to applaud both Roy and Serena. These are obviously topics that are not the easiest to discuss, but it's reality. It's the reality in which we live in, and the fact that, we as an organization, as a community, really want to just highlight and give thanks and props to Guy, our CEO, who's even here in the room, supporting, these very sensitive topics and bringing, spotlight. You guys have really done a tremendous job just in terms of how you go out and build your team. It's something that I personally highlight all the time, and I hear from a lot of our founding partners who are looking at increasing, their agents, that they really want to be able to just not say, I checked the box and, I made a diversity hire, but really embody the spirit of what the true meaning of diversity, inclusion, and belonging is. And so, Roy or Serena, if you can maybe share, with everyone here, how you guys have actually, incorporated that in the very fabric and DNA of your company.
All right, and so for us, like I said, it was a personal choice in the mission. We felt that the industry in real estate needed variety and needed brokerage like us, like what we're doing. As our fabric of what we do is promote home ownership, right? But at the same time, understanding, like I said earlier, we have a responsibility to making sure we can remedy and cure a lot of the things that's happening. But as far as the recruitment component, how can we do that? The thing is your sphere of influence. Everyone knows, folks of color, white folks, Asians, things like that. So it's like you have within your sphere of community, your sphere of influence, you can find talent immediately.
We call it break bread.
Yeah, breaking bread.
Breaking bread. Do you guys put on specific events? Do you have, resource groups, any sort of insider, resources, networking groups that you guys can share that might be beneficial for those seeking to really, again, embody diversity and, kind of diversify their teams?
There's 3 really well-known organizations that are out there that real estate agents can join. Every city has one. One of the organizations you could join, and I haven't written down here because I have to remember the acronyms, which is NAREB, which is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. That community specifically focuses on the African American experience within home ownership, and joining that organization would be a great way of meeting agents who are already, who can use partnership with side agents and what we can do. It's a great place to recruit. Another organization is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So that's another organization you can recruit and join, promote the message of SIDE. And then lastly, the Asian Real Estate Associations of America, which is ARIA. And we have quite a bit of, I think the agents here already partnered with SIDE doing ARIA events. So just being present and joining those real estate trade organizations and associations, I think would be a great, help.
Yep, absolutely. Serena, were you going to say
I was
something?
going to say, and if you do decide to join any of these organizations, really get involved. I would recommend not just to join, just to say I'm a member. Get involved, get to know people, talk to them, attend their events. There's a lot of great events that all 3 of those organizations put out, but that's a great way to meet other agents of color. There's 3 right there. There's a great way to just talk to other agents and possibly, bring some diversity to your company if you don't have it. But, this is passion. It's not just, I see it all the time with agents. They'll, I'll join this, just because you want to say you're a part of it. You gotta have that passion. So if you join an organization, get involved. Feel them. Feel what they're saying. Understand what they're talking about. Like you were saying, it's a sensitive subject, but if you don't get involved and talk about it and understand each culture, you'll never know. And then we'll still be in this position, in the future. So I just wanted to say that. Just, join with a reason, a purpose.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point that you're hitting on. As they say, real recognize real.
Yes, ma'am.
So, just as a 4th resource, in addition to the resources that Roy just highlighted, each of you who are, founding partners who are looking at growing your team, recruiting agents, you have a representative here. Myself, Devon is on my team. You have your business managers. And we can help you with your diversity, inclusion, and belonging, sort of strategy. If that's something that you really want to do, we can also, join those resources and really kind of highlight and bring talent to you. So we do have representatives right outside in our Team Growth Lounge on the expansion team. You can meet our agent recruiters across the 3 states that we're operating in, and they're also attending some of the regional events that are going on now. So please feel free to reach out to myself or anyone on my team. We're here to help you in kind of our mission with diversity, inclusion, and belonging. We've made a lot of progress, but we are nowhere near the finish line. There is a tremendous amount of work, and the fact that each and every one of you is here to talk about, again, topics that are, again, very sensitive, but really mission critical and business imperative to your success. So excited to work with each and every one of you. Devon, I'll turn it back over to you.
That was beautifully communicated. I loved every word that came out of your mouth. I did. I am now going to introduce our COO, Elizabeth C. Please join us.
Hey, everybody.
I want you to have my Feel comfortable, yes. So Elizabeth is the executive sponsor for our organization, for the B-Side organization. And the reason why she's up here today is because we want her to meet you. Elizabeth is going to go over a couple of things, and I wanted to ask you, why is this ERG good for Side? And then also why you accepted the invitation to become our executive sponsor.
Well, hi, everyone. I'll start with the first one in terms of why I decided to join B-Side and be an executive sponsor. So first of all, you guys asked, so that was awesome. But absolutely honored to be able to do it. What I wanted to do is share a little bit of a story here in terms of that fact that I'm actually a little bit embarrassed in terms of how late I came to the ballgame of allyship. To be honest, I had always thought to myself, hey, I'm a woman of color. I've made it to the powers. What's the big deal? And being able to live in that world was a privilege I did not really recognize. I always had thought that, hey, as long as I didn't do horrible things and I taught my son not to do horrible things, then we're good, right? Then we had the, hideous incident of George Floyd, a bit over a year ago. And, I really had to think to myself, there's got to be more that I can do, right? It's got to be more than thoughts and prayers. And so I took that time to actually educate myself, read an incredible book about how to be an anti-racist, and it just profoundly changed my thinking that as a person who's actually in a position of power, you have to make a much better effort. You have to be proactive. You just can't be not racist. You have to be there. You have to be anti-racist. You have to be a part of the solution. And so being able to take part in this is absolutely that opportunity to help be a part of the solution, be proactive about it, and not just to watch it happen. So that's kind of my kind of story behind why I accepted. In terms of why I think it's important, I think everyone's read kind of the studies, right? Having an inclusive, diverse company is absolutely critical for success for an organization. We're in the process of disrupting a whole industry, and if we don't use the talents of everyone available, as well as different perspectives to be incredibly creative, we're gonna sell ourselves short. It's just pure business sense. And then more importantly, if you take a look at our customer base, our partner base, our associate base, they're also, and I'm incredibly proud of this, a very diverse group. And for us to serve that base well, we have to be representative of who we serve so that we can understand and feel the empathy and really understand how to do their business and really understand the challenges that they have. And then the one last thing that I'm super excited about, given who our customer base is, is that they work in the community, the local community, and they are heavily vested in making their community better. And so being able to make these folks incredibly successful is just, wow, something that I feel like creates incredible leverage for us. It's not just making side better, it's making communities better, it's making our partners better. And so that's kind of how I do it. I'm all about operations. I love the concept of leverage. And so being able to do this and fan it out to a much larger part of the US is kind of what got me excited.
That was wonderful. So at this time, we are opening up the floor. We would love to have your questions and give answers and hear any stories that you may have. So the floor is yours. Yes, sir. What's your name?
My name is Michael.
Michael. Let's see. I'll bring this down there to you. I got it. There you go.
How you doing? I'm Michael with Harper Real Estate. I'm brand new to Side, so this question might already be answered. Are there platforms or avenues, something for mentoring programs or leadership programs, stuff like that for agents, minority agents or anything like that Side does?
We were just talking about that outside and just kind of creating a group for agents to be able to call if they have any issues or concerns and need help with something. But we're just talking about that outside. You're always welcome to call myself, Roy, any of us on this panel until we do get that group together. But we are in the process of creating a group, and it's needed. That's what I have to say about that.
I have another question. Oh, I'm sorry, Roy, please.
No, I was just saying that it's important to, create space, right? And then, like I said, it's in the works, and so, sure.
Hi, Guy. I didn't even see you back there.
You can say guy right there.
I was just going to add, to Guy's point, I think it's these sort of platforms that brings us together, kind of the meeting of the mind, so we can really understand the true needs of our partners and our partner associates. And so you just asking that question literally, kind of confirms what we've been kind of talking about. So thank you so much, and TBD.
All right, and then I have another guest here. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jeannie Irish from San Diego, founder of Costa Modern Properties. Don't be fooled, Irish, I'm very Mexicana. My question to you is a personal question on social media. So we work so hard to be authentic, we work so hard to be professional. How do you balance not wanting to just light it up when stuff is happening all around us? And we have to maintain both professional composure and also not alienate other people. I'm a daughter of a farm worker, and so I'm constantly posting educational things, but there's certain times where I just have to mute myself or just pause and walk away, but also don't want to, how can I say it? I don't want to filter too much because I want people to understand I'm also, educated and want to bring that education, but how do you balance being a person of color, but also realistically living in a very, very white business? Even at the event yesterday at dinner, I was kind of looking around anybody look like me? Or, and I've been in real estate for 17 years in San Diego. As dominantly Hispanic it is, our top 3 agents in San Diego are all white, and it just, how do we balance that persona is what my question is.
For me personally, I don't post stuff. I don't post issues. I don't. My platform is, I keep it for business. And if I wanted to, there's a part of me that's a little nervous. I shouldn't have to feel nervous. I shouldn't have to feel any kind of way, but I do. And I don't really post a lot of, I don't post politics. I don't really post things as to what's going on with, for example, the Floyd. For me, that goes way back from when I lived in Los Angeles. I mean, I go way back to the Rodney King issues. So, I go way back. I don't post anything as far as those types of issues. I just don't. I keep my social media pretty professional. Occasionally, Ron and I talk about something. We'll say, "What do you think? Should we do this? Should we not?" And then when we may post some things here and there, but it's kind of, I don't too much.
For like Serena and I, we'd talk about it because we want to make sure we're not caught up emotionally, right? And then the other things we think about too is what we're posting is it helping the greater good in regards to our mission today, what we have control over right now. And so, a lot of the things that's happening, news, social media, is easy to get caught up in the projections, whether you're on the left or right. It's not, in my opinion, as productive as the work actually we need to do in the community. And so our whole thing is like we hone, we have our meetings and we create space for us to actually talk about it. So we can deal kind of like with this trauma, I say, of having to suppress how we really feel and who we are, right, in this industry. It's important that we create space like that, have team meetings when making sure at the end of the day, what's our mission? Our mission is to promote home ownership. Our mission is to be amazing CEOs. Our mission is to be great community leaders for our friends and family. And if it's not within that, then I'm like, miss me with that BS is what we would say.
You want to talk about race in real estate, our class that we have every week?
Another thing too, as far as creating space, last year, with the civil unrest, in order for us to kind of like, what else can we do to improve our practice in real estate? And, and when I say our practice in real estate, because by default, we're taught or learn how to sell real estate, right? Majority of the conferences we go to, the folks on the stage are predominantly white. So as a tendency, we don't even know, but we start to feel like our voices aren't heard. Or because I don't see anyone who looks like me selling 500 houses, I'm thinking like, maybe it doesn't exist, but I know it does. And so it's hard to kind of like live up to that in the sense like, okay, we have to create space, and how can we actually practice real estate without the default of, the history of how, steering that we don't even know. Like I could read racial covenants, and I'm like, damn, I said the same thing they were doing 50 years ago on how I describe this community. It's, and that's just by default. And so, so those are the things. So we created a race plus real estate equals resistance workshops. Ashley's been amazing in supporting us. Guys sat in them. And it's really for us to lead by example as partners and leaders within our own real estate brokerage or teams, that these are ways to these are the resources, right? These are the ways to kind of combat those things. So we would have those and have speakers come in and really kind of like educate us, because we didn't know. We don't know ourselves. So.
Do we have time for a couple more questions? I know I have one here and then maybe one after that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, DJ it is. Here's DJ.
Oh, hey, DJ.
How you doing? My name is DJ Bryant. I'm with Align Real Estate out of Florida. And I don't have a question, more so a thank you, and then just wanting you guys to expound upon something. Ms. Serena, you mentioned something about your marketing and how there was a time where you wouldn't put your picture on there. And I just wanted to say, I was in those same shoes. A lot of my niche, being a previous athlete, is in that sports and entertainment division, so I'm dealing with those types of clients. But moving into a new market and trying to break into more so the luxury side of things, there's not a lot of people that I'm marketing to that look like me that own those homes. And I found myself in the same shoes when I'm sending out marketing, and also even just the way I dress and the way I talk. trying to fit the mold of everybody else and trying to dress and talk a certain way. And I caught myself at one point, it just didn't feel authentic and I didn't feel comfortable. I knew my stuff, but I thought that I had to talk a certain way to portray that or dress a certain way. And since I've changed that approach and just became more authentic to myself, like my business has changed and I just feel better about it. But if you can just speak on how you overcame that and anybody else who had that maybe similar situation.
Let's see. Well, like I said, when I worked in the Calaveras County area, I was the only black realtor in the entire county. One of the few blacks who lived in the county as well. The reason why I moved there is because we wanted to buy some land. We took our kids out of the Bay Area and we wanted some land and ended up buying 15 acres. And I started interviewing folks out there to watch my kids. That wasn't gonna happen, so that's why I got into real estate. And a part of me, I didn't post my pictures on my marketing because I was a little nervous. I didn't know what people were gonna think about me, just coming in, breaking grounds in a different territory. How I got over it, I basically just kept marketing. People were coming up from the Bay Area. I made a footprint. People started knowing who I was without even looking at my picture. And I feel that I sold so many homes in the country, country property and land. I got to a point where I was just comfortable. I was okay with showing my picture. I didn't care what anyone thought anymore because I knew I worked hard and I knew it was good. And people knew me as being a great agent. They didn't care about my color at that point, most of the time. And once I got over that fear, even when you're dealing with country properties, you're talking about people with 10, 15, 20 acres. You've got between a modular home up to a 10,000 square foot house. But I just got comfortable. I didn't care. I started making a name. I knew my area. I knew my stuff. I knew about wells. I knew about septics. I knew about property lines. If people would say, they'd call me a city slicker. I would say things like, is that right? Well, let's talk about what you know and what I know. Blew them out of the water every time. But I studied. I knew my stuff. I knew the market. I knew who owned what. I knew who owned all the country property. I knew where to go, where not to go, but I went anyways. And once I got comfortable, I didn't care about the picture because now you know who I am. I've already made a footprint. I tear all those hills, I tear it all up there.
Definitely a force to be reckoned with.
I don't care who's up there. I'll go up there and spit that listing agreement that Cy put together so well.
Hello.
I'm untouchable. And that's how I feel. I'm telling you, I'll go up the hill and I'm like, man, I got this bomb listing agreement. I don't even care what you guys think about me. I don't even care if you don't even like me, but you're gonna sign this listing agreement because I just gave you a bomb listing presentation.
That
It
part.
doesn't matter anymore. I'm passionate about that. I really am. I don't even care. I'll go up to wherever. I don't even care what kind of flag you're flying. We have a listing appointment at 3 o'clock. Well, should we sit down or would you like to give me a tour? That's what I do every time. They look at me like, oh, okay. Well, let's go on a tour. Let's go.
Yeah, Serena would call me right before she goes to the hills. It's like, Roy, if you don't hear from me in an hour, this is the address. I'm like, I got you.
These are definitely conversations we have had. All right, I have another question here. I'll be right there. I have a question here from Andrew.
First of all, thanks for coming. This is so good and so healthy for all of us, and I'm really grateful to sit in here and listen and just be very attentive to your words because it means a lot. One of my questions is, in our communities, people of color, there's always an emphasis on sports, like we're great athletes, football, baseball, basketball, and there's always an attention to that at a very young age to grow up and chase those dreams. Yet I find that as we get older in our lives, we're late when it comes to owning properties and wealth and having the assets passed down to us. And other communities, that is just a normal tradition. Oh, grandma had that house, so you have that house, that property, and this property. Have you thought of ways that you could connect to the adults in those communities that have those little kids so that you can connect with them and make real estate attractive so that maybe when they are in high school, they're gravitating to learning about real estate. Maybe there's a program where they can learn about, hey, let's go to an open house with Serena and we're gonna learn about real estate today versus being out goofing off and looking at your TV time. Have you thought about programs like that? And if you have, how can we help you pursue that in different communities where we're at?
So we actually, like I said, every year I'm always trying to figure out how can we get better. And so with our partnership with a lot of the nonprofit organizations in the city, within our community, specifically in Oak Park, which is, highly gentrified, our whole thing was make sure how can we have, one, like I said, create pathways in order to become, workforce development in order to become real estate agents. So we have a program right now that we're working with the nonprofit where we call them informational interns. And they're 17, 18-year-olds that they're gonna door knock. And then they're gonna have, Dress for Success, all this programming with this nonprofit organization. They're in high school, and we're looking to roll it out hopefully early 2022, where once they complete their internship, then they have we're paying for the real estate classes. They have a brokerage to work with at 18 and 19. But we're teaching them the CEO mindset out the gate because they have the drive. And the thing is, when they're knocking on the doors, they're from the community themselves, right? So there's that connection of making sure how can we retain sometimes the home ownership, right? The legacy of the folks who are in these communities to retain their homes. That's one option. Or if they need to sell, then of course we're there to help them, right? But I think the key thing is how can we promote more Black and brown real estate professionals? And when I'm talking real estate professional, we're not talking necessarily real estate agents, because we need Black and brown pest inspectors, home inspectors, appraisers, transaction coordinators. It's not just real estate agents as far as this industry is concerned. But we need to introduce folks that there are other ways into entering this amazing business.
Beautifully said. I have another question here. What's your name?
Hi, Val. Hi, Serena. So just, I really appreciated your comments about just getting to a point of not caring anymore. And so, hey, I'm putting my picture on it and I'm going there. Any advice or wisdom on how you get there even faster to that point of, like, I don't care what you think, I'm going in?
I mean, to get there faster, just go ahead and put your picture on there. Just start it off right. This is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and I'm here.
I think Serena and I talk about this, and I think, if I could say something, is that just understanding that your history as far as you an amazing agent and professional, that you shouldn't have to adjust, right? Or we shouldn't have to adjust in that regard. Serena was closing 300 deals a year for like, I don't know how many years, so she's earned that, right? But, at the same time, there's still these insecurities. But, I say when we talk about it, it's like, understand the work that we've done in the past and the good work and great work of being an amazing real estate broker. That's my take.
Did that help? Okay.
All right, and with that, we are at time.
Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
I would just recommend, just for everyone, be mindful of your fellow colleagues, wherever you're located. Just, if we look after each other and lift each other up regardless of your background, race, ethnicity, lesbian, gay, handicap, whatever, just be mindful of your colleagues and lift each other up regardless of the background. If we can all do that and not down someone because they came from a different territory or an area, if we cannot do that, it will make the world of real estate a better place. And SIDE is working so hard to fulfill that with us, with you guys creating B-Side. So I just wanted to say that. Just be mindful. Nice.
Absolutely. Great advice. great advice. And that really kind of plays into, inclusion, right? We can go out and we can create a diverse, team, but if they don't feel like there's inclusion, right? Inclusion of just who they are, the fact that they might not have grown up like you've grown up, they might have a different thought processing than you. Embrace that. It's going to make you more effective as a team versus rinsing and repeating and everyone looking like you. I just want to take this moment to, first just thank Guy for this opportunity to have a platform for talking about diversity in such a sensitive subject. Elizabeth, our executive sponsor and our COO, thank you. Everyone that's a part of our B-Side ERG, our Black Excellence here at Side, thank you for all of your hard work putting this on. Of course, to our panelists, Roy and Serena, for just sharing just some real candid information about the work that you guys are doing, the passion that you have, and the struggle. We don't talk about the struggle enough. And in order for change to come, we got to put spotlight on this. We got to talk about it. And I think this session, if anything, really has put spotlight on the fact that our work has just begun. Next year is going to look a lot different than this year. I hear you about looking around and saying, is there anyone else that look like me? It just goes to show you that our work is not done. There's still a lot of things that we have to do in this space, and I guarantee you that our mission and our charter is to ensure that diversity, inclusion, and belonging is really embedded in the very fabric of this organization. Thank you all for coming.
Before everyone leaves, we have a gift. So we are gifting our first question and our last question. You were our first question here, sir, and then you were our last question. So this is a book by Sue Kender, who is also Guy's friend. She wrote this book, and it's about conquering your fears in your career moves. So I encourage you to read it. I haven't read it yet. I literally just got mine in the mail a couple of days ago. But I do encourage the read. Again, a very good friend of Guy's. And that can, I gave it away, but yes, I can. Choose Possibility. Sukhinder Cassidy. Thank you, Singh Cassidy. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, everyone, for coming and all of your wonderful questions.